What is up, guys? So we're going to be starting my new series, which is going to be top 10s in Yu-Gi-Oh! Starting off with top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss monsters. So at number 10 we have Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon. So Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon is a level 10 Wing Beast XYZ monster, and its card text reads: 3 level 10 Wing Beast type monsters, unaffected by other cards' effects. You can detach one XYZ material from this card. For the rest of this turn, all monsters your opponent controls will lose 1000 attack. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated. If this card has a Raid Raptor monster as XYZ material, it gains this effect. Once per turn during the end phase, make all monsters your opponent controls lose 1000 attack. If your opponent controls no face-up monsters, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. So this card is amazing for lots of reasons. Firstly, it's got 3500 attack, making it really difficult to beat over for most monsters. It's also unaffected by other card effects, so it's very difficult for your opponent to remove, meaning they're going to have to commit a lot of resources for something like a Borrowed Sword Dragon just to get it off the field. It's quite simple to summon in Raid Raptors as well, with a 2-card combo using Tribute Lanius and Vanishing Lanius. However, this card is most commonly seen with a combo with a card called Waking the Dragon. Waking the Dragon is a trap card which states: if this set card in its owner's control has left the field because of an opponent's effect and is now in the graveyard or banished, you can special summon one monster from your deck or extra deck. Raid Raptor Ultimate Falcon has no limitations on its summon, and so it can be summoned by Waking the Dragon. So we often see this card in the extra decks of control decks such as Altergeist and Paleozoics, where they set Waking the Dragon as a threat for their opponent, and when it's cleared, now their opponent gets to bring out a 3500 attack monster that can't be affected by other card effects. This is an insane boss monsters in its own archetype and for control decks, and because of that it's really deserving of its number 10 spot. At number 9 we have Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is a Link 4 Cyberse monster, and its card text reads: your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's effect activations. If this card is Link summoned, you can target one Link monster that was used as material for its Link summon. This card gains attack equal to that monster's Link rating times 1000. You can banish one Link monster from your field or graveyard, destroy one card your opponent controls. Also, for the rest of this turn, you cannot banish monsters with that same attribute to activate this effect of Access Code Talker. Access Code Talker is a really cool Link 4 boss monster. The ability to destroy cards on the field without targeting and potentially destroy up to 6 cards depending on how many attributes you've got in your graveyard is an insane effect to have in a monster, and it's incredibly easy to summon as well. Using a 1-card combo you can actually bring this out. Normal summon Jet Synchron, link into Salamangreat Almirage, bring back the Jet Synchron, then go into Christian Halqifibrax. From there, Halqifibrax can summon Effect Veiler from the deck, which can be linked into Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians. As long as there are 3 or more spells on the fields or in the graveyards, then you can use it to summon the Effect Veiler and then link into Access Code Talker. This would give you a 5300 attack Access Code Talker, which could also destroy up to 3 of your opponent's cards by banishing the 3 link materials in your graveyard. What makes Access Code even better than its easy summoning conditions and amazing non-targeting destruction effect is that your opponent can't respond to its effects. This makes it really difficult to handle, as your opponent only has a small window to respond on the resolution of its initial attack game, and then you can just start destroying all the cards on their field without them being able to retaliate or defend themselves. This card is really great, deserving of its high price tag, and will likely remain a competitive staple for a long time to come. But at number 8 we have an even better monster, El Shadow Construct. This is a level 8 Fairy Fusion monster, and its effect reads: must first be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can send one Shadow card from your deck to the graveyard. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles a special summon monster, destroy that monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shadow spell or trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Shadow Construct is a really unique and incredible monster for the Shadow archetype. It's a bit different to the other boss monsters on this list, as while it is incredible as an offensive boss monster, What makes it so strong is its ability to extend for the Yugioh archetype. You can send any Yugioh monster from your deck to your graveyard when this card is special summoned. This is not a hard or soft once per turn, so this can just keep happening over and over again in a turn, allowing Yugiohs to easily dump cards from their deck to the graveyard when they summon this. What makes it even better is Yugiohs have a card called Yugioh Fusion, allowing them to send 2 materials from the deck to the graveyard. And then from there, when they bring out Yugioh Construct can send another material from the graveyard, meaning 3 cards have been dumped simply from 1 card. This is great setup for other cards in the Yugioh archetype, like Yugioh Rook, which allows you to special summon a fusion monster from the graveyard, or Yugioh Schism, which allows you to fusion summon using materials in the graveyard or on the field. Construct is also amazing because its materials are relatively generic. El Yugioh Construct simply requires 1 Yugioh monster and 1 light monster as fusion materials. This means that any deck which has light monsters that want to be in the graveyard, which is a huge proportion of decks, can benefit from having Yugiohs inside of their archetype. El Yugioh Construct also has a really powerful damage step ability, destroying any special summon monster it battles. This allows it to be a semi-effective wall against a lot of decks, as unless they have some sort of utility to remove it from the field or a monster immune to destruction with higher attack than 2800, they're unlikely to be able to out the Yugioh Construct. And then finally, Yugioh Construct has an amazing recursive ability when it's sent to the graveyard, similar to the other Yugioh fusions. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Yugioh spell or trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. This meant that even when the monster was dealt with, it still would be gaining your resources. El Yugioh Construct is an amazing monster with several really good effects and definitely deserving of his spot as number 8 on this list. But at number 7 we have a monster that single-handedly warped the entire meta. Thunder Dragon Colossus. Thunder Dragon's card text reads, must be either fusion summoned or special summoned during the turn a Thunder monster's effect was activated in the hand, by attributing 1 Thunder effect to non-fusion monster, in which case you do not use Polymerization. Cards cannot be added from the main deck to your opponent's hand, except by drawing them. If this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish 1 Thunder monster from your graveyard instead. This card single-handedly shut out Invoked from the meta for a long time. Its mistake-like ability, preventing your opponent from adding cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing, was incredible at suppressing so many rogue decks, so many meta decks, and really allowing Thunder Dragons to solidify them in the meta. What made this much worse is the fact that Colossus was incredibly easy to bring up for Thunder Dragons, as all they needed to do is get 1 Thunder monster on the field the same turn that they activated a Thunder monster's effect in the hand. This is literally what the entire Thunder Dragon deck is based around doing, and so it's not difficult for the deck to put out multiple Colossuses on their first turn. Then, this card has a really powerful protection effect, where you can banish a Thunder monster from your graveyard if this card would be destroyed. This made the card so difficult to out, and it meant that putting 2 Thunder Dragon Colossuses on the field was probably a guarantee that your opponent wasn't going to be searching cards anytime soon. This is one of few banned cards on the list, and it's definitely there for a reason. Thunder Dragon Colossus is an amazingly powerful boss monster, and when it does come back to the meta, Thunder Dragons definitely are going to get a huge boost to their power level. But at number 6, we have another really strong monster, Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax. This card's text reads, while this link summon monster is on the field, your opponent cannot target this card or card effects. Also, their monsters cannot target monsters for attacks, except this one. Once per battle, during damage calculation, if this card battles a special summon monster, as a quick effect, you can make this card gain attack equal to that monster's attack during that damage calculation only. If this link summon card you control is sent to your graveyard by an opponent's card, you can shuffle 1 card on the field into the deck. Avramax is an amazing upgrade for Crusaders from their original Crusader Equimax, a pretty powerful Link 3 which can OTK very effectively, into this Link 4 monster which protects your whole board and stops your opponent targeting from card effects. What makes this card even better is that it can beat virtually any special summon monster in battle, as it simply gains their attack during the damage step. If it's sent from the field to the graveyard, it also spins a card from your opponent's field back into their deck, giving it huge amounts of versatility and allowing you to regain some tempo if you do lose this card. These amazing effects have made the Mech Knight Crusadia Avramax amazingly popular in the competitive scene. We've seen it in a multitude of decks, usually as the finisher to a combo to protect your entire board, making it very difficult for your opponent to out it, as they need to somehow attack into the Mech Knight and beat it, or you need to be able to remove it from the field and not lose your board when your opponent gets to spin a card back to your deck. Whether inside this archetype or outside this archetype, Mech Knight Crusader Avramax is definitely one of the strongest boss monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! But at number 5 we have another incredibly strong boss monster, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. This card's effect reads: cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 2 dinosaur type monsters from your graveyard. Once per turn during either player's main phase, you can destroy 1 monster in your hand or field, and if you do, change all face up monsters your opponent controls to face down defense position. This card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks a defense position monster, you can inflict 1000 damage to your opponent, and if you do, send that defense position monster to the graveyard. Tyranno is an incredible boss monster, able to clear virtually any field in one battle phase with its ability to attack every monster your opponent controls. On top of that, its Book of Moon effect is still a very potent disruption, frequently being one of the main ways to out monsters that can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Using this effect also helps extending your dinosaur deck, as you have to destroy a monster in your hand or field to activate this, so depending on what dinosaur card you destroy, you could potentially summon another dinosaur monster straight from the deck to get this effect off. But one of the things we've seen on this list is it's not just a monster being strong that makes it deserving of being a powerful boss monster, it's also its ease of summoning, and this card is incredibly easy to summon. Its initial summoning condition is quite good, allowing you to summon it simply by banishing 2 dinosaurs from your graveyard. However, a card called Double Evolution Pill can summon this card directly from the deck. Its card text reads: banish 1 dinosaur and 1 non-dinosaur from your hand or graveyard, special summon a level 7 or higher dinosaur monster from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can only activate 1 Double Evolution Pill per turn. The existence of this card makes it so easy to bring out Tyranno from your deck. This is made even easier by the fact that this card can be searched with just 1. Overraptor can send Overtext Quatless to your graveyard. Quatless, when sent to the graveyard, will search Double Evolution Pill, and then from there Double Evolution Pill can summon Tyranno directly from the deck. Dinosaurs always have access to their boss monster, and is one of the reasons why they are such a potent going second OTK deck. Easy to summon, incredible attack values, really good at clearing the entire board. It's no wonder why Tyranno has been one of the strongest boss monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! For a while. But at number 4, we've got a boss monster that's so powerful it changed the way the Yu-Gi-Oh! Language itself was used. Apocryphal Towers. Cannot be special summoned, requires 3 Klee tributes to normal summon or set. If this card is normal summoned or set, it is unaffected by spell or trap effects and by activated effects from any monster whose original level or rank is lower than this card's current level. All special summon monsters lose 500 attack and defense. Once per turn, you can make your opponent send 1 monster from their hand or their side of the field to the graveyard, their choice. Apocryphal Towers is a really beastly boss monster. Its name alone is now used as a description for monsters that are pretty much unaffected by everything, because at the time, that's what this monster was. Sporting 3000 attack and 2600 defense, and then being unaffected by any monster that was level 10 or lower, meant that at the time, there was very few outs to this card. Diamond Crab King was one of the few cards that saw a lot of play simply due to this card, as it could match its attack during the damage step. This monster also has a pressure effect on your opponent, making all of their special summon monsters lose 500 attack and defense, and then it can make your opponent send 1 monster from their hand or side of the field to the graveyard every single turn. This effect is particularly amazing because it doesn't affect the monsters but makes the player choose what card to send, meaning it could out monsters that were also unaffected by other card effects. All of these effects gave it such huge pressure when it hit the board, and Cleaforts could super easily bring this monster out. This card could be easily searched with Cleafort Scout, and then Cleaforts could pendulum summon the 3 Klee tributes needed to bring this monster out, saving their normal summon for bringing out their amazing boss monster. During its heyday, Apocryphal Towers was definitely one of the strongest Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss monsters to ever exist, and definitely is deserving of a space at number 4. So guys, we're at our top 3 cards. So before I get into it, I want you to put down in the comments what you think the top 3 cards should be, okay? So we're going to get into it in 3, 2, 1. So, at number 3, we have Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. This card's text reads, cannot be destroyed by card effects. Neither player can target this card with card effects. During your main phase, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls, and if you do, inflict damage equal to that monster's original attack. You can use this effect a number of times per turn, up to the number of normal monsters used as fusion material for this card. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, discard one card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card, and if you do that, this card gains 1000 attack. This is the newest monster on this list, but it's definitely one of the craziest boss monsters we've seen in a while. It's unable to be targeted or destroyed, so very difficult to out, also having 3000 attack and 2500 attack, so beating over most things. Then, it can also destroy a monster your opponent controls and burn them for that damage, so basically Ring of Destruction but without any of the downsides. This effect can be used twice if you summon it with 2 normal monsters. It also has a really potent negate, which also allows it to gain 1000 attack. This card is overloaded and extremely strong at ending games for your opponent. One of the biggest strengths of this card is that practically any deck that can put 2 effect monsters on the field can summon it. By link summoning into Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda, you can use the effect of Red Eyes Fusion without the downsides and bring this card out at the end of your combo, allowing your incredible Adamancipator board to now end on Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. There are stronger boss monsters than this, but what makes Dragoon so potent is it's got incredible effects and it's usually going to be backed up by a powerful board, meaning it's going to be near impossible to out, and if you do see it, you're probably about to lose. So for number 2 and number 1, these 2 monsters could easily be interchangeable, as both of them are incredibly powerful and really warp the meta when they existed in the format. At number 2, we have number 86, Heroic Champion, Rongo Miniad. This card's text reads, during each of your opponent's end phases, detach one XYZ material from this card. This card gains effects based on the number of XYZ materials attached to it. 1 or more cannot be destroyed by battle. 2 or more gains 1500 attack and defense. 3 or more unaffected by other card effects. 4 or more, your opponent cannot normal or special summon monsters. 5 or more, once per turn, you can destroy all cards your opponent controls. Rongo Miniad is an incredibly powerful boss monster and probably the strongest one on this list. The ability to be completely unaffected by effects, lock your opponent out from summoning completely, and then destroy all cards your opponent controls once per turn is just too powerful to pass up. Funnily enough, this card didn't see play for a long time, being part of the Heroic Champion archetype, a very slow warrior archetype that would struggle to summon this card in the first place. But the existence of the card, number 75, Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, meant that this card now was really easy to summon and to get up to its 5 material requirement. Number 75's card text reads, once per turn when an opponent's monster activates this effect, quick effects, you can detach 2 materials from this card, and the activated effect becomes both players draw 1 card. You can target one other number XYZ monster you control, attach it to this card as material. Transfer its materials to that monster. Number 75 was really easy to bring out, simply requiring 2 or more level 3 monsters, and these materials could be given to Rongo Miniad, meaning you can give it up to 3 materials with 1 card. This made Rongo Miniad one of the strongest boss monsters of its format. One of the main strengths of Rongo Miniad is that it also denied your opponent from special or normal summoning, meaning that things like Kaijus and Sphere Mode weren't enough to out it. One of the only outs to this card at the time was a card called XYZ Encore. This card affected the XYZ materials of a monster as opposed to the monster itself, so it was one of the few ways to get around the amazing lockdown that Rongo Miniad provided. But beyond this card, there was pretty much no way to deal with a Rongo Miniad once it had full materials, making it incredible at shutting out other decks, especially when going first. For these reasons, Rongo Miniad is really deserving of its space on this list, and definitely one of the strongest boss monsters to ever exist. But at number 1, we have an incredible boss monster, really powerful, really easy to summon, and to top it all off could be splashed in virtually any deck. Masterpiece, the true Draco Slaying King. This card's effect reads, to tribute summon this card face up, you contribute continuous spell trap cards you control, as well as monsters. Unaffected by cards with the same type monster, spell or trap as the original type of the card you use to summon this. Once per turn during either player's turn, if you control this tribute summon monster, you can banish a continuous spell or trap from your graveyard, then target one other card on the field and destroy it. Masterpiece is an incredible boss monster, but one of the things that made it so good is the fact that you could play this in virtually any deck. Having on-demand immunity to 2 of the 3 card types used in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is incredible, and most of the time you would simply select monsters and spells because those are the cards that you generally see played in most people's decks. This card also had the ability to pop cards on your opponent's board every single turn as a quick effect, making it very difficult to deal with, and then putting massive pressure on your opponent to deal with this card before it runs them out of resources. In the true Draco archetype, this card was incredibly easy to search, and even if your opponent managed to out it, could be quickly recycled or another one could simply be searched and added to the hand. Masterpiece really is the strongest boss monster to ever exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! And definitely did so much for the meta and really changed the way we think about boss monsters in the game. So guys, that is my top 10 boss monsters list, but before we finish, we do have some runners up that really should have been on the list, but unfortunately there just wasn't enough space. So to start off with, we have Borosword Dragon. Borosword Dragon is a really great monster, but unfortunately access code is simply power crept it in my opinion. It is still a really good monster and definitely now can still endgame so effectively. I mean, it's one of the main reasons why you don't just spam monsters and attack anymore, because Borosword Dragon can easily end your entire game if you manage to get caught slipping with it. But really good monster. The next one was Dingirsu. So Dingirsu, one of the reasons why I didn't want to put it on the list is because it's not a true boss monster. It is kind of treated like a boss monster for the Orcus archetype, but in actuality, Orchestrion is the boss monster for the Orcus archetype, and I didn't think it was fair to put Dingirsu there when it's not really a boss monster. But in spite of that, it's still really easy to summon, really easy to recur, one of the best removals in the game. It's got great stats, protects your board. I mean, everything about that card, it's really good. So yeah, definitely a runner-up for this list. And then lastly, we do have Chaos Emperor Dragon pre-errata. So one of the reasons why I didn't put this card in the list was simply because it has been errated, and so I don't think it was really fair to put a card that isn't the same card anymore, like it doesn't really exist. But pre-errata Chaos Emperor Dragon definitely would have taken probably number 1 or 2 spots on this list, because it's really good and definitely was an amazingly powerful monster at the time, and even now it's still a pretty good monster. But yeah guys, that is my Yu-Gi-Oh! Top 10 list. Look, if you've enjoyed this content, I've got plenty more on my channel. I'm gonna have stuff in the top right, top left. Click on these if you want to see some cool deck profiles, if you want to see some cool Yu-Gi-Oh! Discussions, all of it I've got here. So guys, thanks for watching, enjoy your day, and I will talk to you all soon.